We've done shows where artists will show up, park their car, get out of their car, go on stage, perform, get back in their car and leave.
No way.
Yeah, but for no reason.
Turn the engine off.
Yeah.
For no reason. They didn't have shit going on.
Right.
They just did it because they thought it was cool. Yeah.
So that's like in the culture of like.
Oh, it's 100% in the culture.
Yeah.
Because I've gone to other shows, top 40 shows, country artists. They'll hang out with their fans.
Right.
They're like nice, respectful. Top 40 artists come. They do their sound check.
Right.
Hip hop artists don't give a shit.
Right.
They show up, go on stage. There's 9 guys on stage, only 1 performer. Everyone's on their phones, just hanging out.
God.
Yeah, I'm
So
always
true.
like, what do you guys put on your tax return?
Yeah.
What's your job?
Yeah. We went to Lil Wayne at the House of Blues.
Yeah.
He was 2 hours late. 2 hours late and no DJ. Like you walk in there, it was just like the kind of like elevator music just playing.
Yeah.
2 hours,
We had a show with Lil Wayne one time, and he it was at the Garden. He was there. Okay, so now he's getting, for some reason, he was hanging out in his tour bus.
Yep.
Whatever, they have dressing rooms, but he didn't want to do that. All right, you're gonna go on stage. His DJ's on stage, playing music, all that stuff. So he gets out of the tour bus, go through the metal detector. He had like a gym bag, you could say. Metal detector goes off, right? And the security said, they said, we have to check what's in the bag. He said, no, I don't want you to check what's in the bag. And they said, all right, cool. Put the bag back on the tour bus and you can go through the metal detector. And he said, no, I want to go through with the bag. And they said, well, we have to check what's in the bag. And he said, no.
Man.
So now this back and forth of like, they were literally like, listen, you can come through. Just leave the fucking bag on the butt. Like it's right there.
Right.
He didn't want to do that. So he went back on the bus and said, I'm not going to perform. His poor DJ is still out on the stage.
God.
Everyone's waiting for Lil Wayne to come on. So a couple people that were, backstage and stuff like that went back there, had a talk with them. They said, listen, just your tour bus is like inside the Garden. It's literally like, it was a tour bus, the metal detector, you pop in, bang a right, and you're going on stage. Like it's right there. Somehow they talked him into doing it. So he gets up. Whoa, no, I'm not done. Hold on a second. He gets up to go on with the fucking bag again. And they were like,
holy hell.
So the thing goes off and they said,
same security guard.
Yeah, they were just like, dude, like you're being difficult for no reason.
Right.
Anyway, ultimately he didn't go on. Because of this whole situation. Yeah. So then this is crazy, all the social media stuff.
Right.
The internet was happening. But so they had me do like this video where like I was trashing him for being like unprofessional and stuff like that. Oh yeah. It was crazy. Dude, I've seen so much ridiculousness. But I'm like, what was in that bag that was so valuable that you couldn't leave it on the bus?
I'm sure we know what's in that bag.
Yeah.
I mean,
I believe he's known to carry, I believe, a golden desert eagle, if I'm not mistaken.
It was crazy.
That's insane. Once you went hot on like Lil Wayne being a professional, do you have like an audience come, like Lil Wayne's like posse come to you?
Well, no one did, but it's because it's not now. If it was now, it'd be like a million little snippets and stuff like that.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, like they've had me go on stage and insult who was it that the day of didn't come? Nas? Someone. I've insulted so many artists that there's video of it, but it's not like
together after some time.
Yeah, if it was now, it'd be like forget it. It'd be a big thing.
Yeah, because back then, like for a clip to travel, you'd either have to bring it up on the show, right, or that was pretty much it, right? Like if it didn't hit like mainstream news, it was like
it was
buried.
It was actually. I see a good side of then and a good side of now. Like it was more stuff happened organically.
Right.
You can get away with a lot more.
Right.
Because now if you say something, someone will take one little clip of a giant conversation.
Yeah.
Look what this person's saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen to the whole conversation.
Right.
You know? So
and everyone's a headline reader where it's like, I'm just gonna not gonna read the meat or the facts of the story.
Right.
Yeah.
That must be like so stressful for you now though, because now that's your time too, like kind of going back to like artists not showing up or like that's you showing up, waiting for them, and they just don't give a shit about like your time or anyone's time. Like,
I mean, ultimately, it looks bad like on the radio station and stuff, but you only have so much control, you know. And especially with something like that, it's like, dude, just show up. You're getting money,
right.
You have like the biggest thing with me is that I don't understand is you're insulting your fans,
right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like think of it this way. I know athletes out there that are kind of shitty athletes. Like they're not the greatest on their team, football, baseball, and stuff.
Right.
But if you meet them in person and they're nice to you, all of a sudden you're a fan of this scrub.
100%.
Yeah.
You're kind of rooting for him, even though he's not that good.
100%.
But then you'll have some superstars who are pieces of shit to their fans, and it's like they liked you, and you're kind of you're taking that away. You just went from like a 9 or a 10, and you knocked it down to about a 3.
Right.
So the second you start sucking, they're gonna be like, go away. You suck.
R-rated show too. You could swing curse like a sailor.
Yeah,
You are good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not hard to. Do you ever watch WWE?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I have a buddy who he's doing me in that chair. Massive WWE fan. Me, more of like a MMA kind of guy. You know?
I love MMA. Yeah.
Like if it's the performance I get, but it's once you know it's blatantly fake.
Right.
All right.
But the one thing they do good is they train their guys. They're like, listen, the people in the audience, that's why you're as popular as you are.
Right.
Just remember that.
Right.
So I've done appearances with them so I did one with Kevin Owens, right? And let's say he was supposed to be there at noon or something like that. His plane was running late. This dude is tweeting, apologizing
oh my God.
to Boston fans saying, listen, I'm sorry I'm running late. I'll be there as soon as possible. Blah, 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 blah. He gets there probably about an hour late.
Yeah.
You see him like not running across the street, but walking with a purpose. And I was like, oh shit, this dude's like, he's in a bad mood.
Yeah.
He came in and it was at a T-Mobile store.
Yep.
And the T-Mobile people, and it was, by the way, this was like months ago, so it was cold out. And there was a line of people outside. The T-Mobile people were like, hey, Kevin. And he's like, hey, how you doing? Being polite. And they said, can we have a picture of you with the staff? And he said, I will. I definitely will. But can we I've had these people waiting for, in the cold for an hour. I don't want to make them wait anymore.
Right.
Like as soon as I finish with that, like he knew awesome. The deal.
Yeah.
Where I've seen situations like that with baseball players, football players, and they come in a bad mood.
Yeah.
They kind of treat their fans like shit. They're like, by the way, Kevin Owens, so he was supposed to be there from noon to 2. He stayed from 1 to like 3. Like he still did his 2 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas most people are like, oh, well, I showed up late.
My time.
Sorry, you're only getting an hour of me.
Right.
So it's like they train their guys the right way. And I think other sports, I don't know what you would call that. I don't know what that job is, but they need something like that.
Something to vet them through.
Yeah.
Some sort of SEALs, Navy SEALs training, but for appearances,
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
said, the fans are the whole reason why they are where they are.
Right.
And especially with
She's born and raised in East Boston, by the way. If you lose her on the accent, you let me know. Back to you.
What? Oh. But like he's only where he's at because of his fans.
Right.
And like you're saying, same thing with sports and stuff like that. But I think it also shows why so many people from other aspects like WWE can finish with that, but still be a celebrity. There's a lot of sports players, especially the ones that aren't, Tom Brady. They're done. You didn't build your fan base. You didn't like let them know how much you appreciate them.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're saying, like if whatever that's called, if you could make each person like see why they are where they are and like appreciate that and realize it's bigger than just them, like they'll have a much longer career.
Yeah. Or at least people will give you, it's not hard to be a nice person.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, just be nice.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand where people go like, hey, if I'm a dick, they're going to like me
more. Right.
But
the person who ever told hip hop,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's hip hop. It's hip hop radio.
Yeah. Let's go. By this time, we do the intros, by the way, like off air. After the fact, so by the time people are listening to this, they'll know exactly who we're chatting to.
Beautiful.
Let's take us back to early days, Ramiro. How did you get into radio? Because you've been doing radio for how long now?
hold on.
So you're like 5 when you started.
Yeah. No, I just celebrated my 28th anniversary of my first ever radio show.
Wow. Let's go.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, how old are you guys?
So this is where it's weird because so we're both 28.
Okay.
But when we walked up here, I was like, most people who are on the radio have a face for radio. Not this guy, all right?
Yeah, most people on the radio, because you know what it is? I'll tell you.
Right here.
Oh, I'm delicious.
You look 32 max.
I'll take it. And I'll tell you why. So when I started, I mean, we talk about in the mid 90s. So like the internet existed.
Right.
But it wasn't obviously what it is now.
Right.
But I always had this thing where I'm like, okay, you're going to meet people and they're going to recognize you. And when they recognize you, again, before now, people just Google and see you and they know exactly what you are. But before, it's like, whatever, they'll recognize your voice or some bullshit like that. Whenever somebody would meet me, you can get, it's 2 reactions, same word said in 2 different ways. And the word is, oh. So they meet you and they're like, oh, that's not the good oh. That's I pictured in my head somebody better looking and you didn't live up to that. Or the one I like to hear is, oh, like where they're like surprised, like, okay, you're better looking than I thought.
Inflection of each one
so
of those.
I've always tried to, to make it to the as opposed to the other one. And
That's a riot.
And then once the internet and everything started, I'm like, okay, well, people, you're not just a voice anymore. People could easily Google you or whatever. So
100%. I had that good moment. This was so before living in Boston, any of that stuff. I used to work for Muscle Milk in college.
Okay.
Muscle Milk did an event. It was a charity event at Gillette with Gronk, where I forget the charity, but Gronk was shaving his head.
Oh,
and
Buzz Off. I'm hosting it on Father's Day.
Oh, hell yeah! Here we go.
Yeah.
We're at Buzz Off, and this is probably.
What year was this? Because I've been hosting it for probably about 4 or 5 years now.
So this was probably 2015.
Okay, so I was before. Okay.
Something, but no, I think it was because you were there.
Was I?
Because it was. So I was in. This is either we went every year. So this is either 2015 all the way up to 2017, basically.
Okay, so I think I started 2016 or 17. Oh, okay. So yeah, there was.
Because I go and we're just sampling, giving out Muscle Milks, and we get to like kind of where like the action's happening, and I don't the crowd is like a lot taller, so I'm like shuffling around, but I hear your voice, and I had that. Oh, wait a minute. And then I had to look. I was like, where is that coming from? I was like, I know that voice. It was a good O.
Oh,
it was a good,
I appreciate it.
There he is.
Another check mark on the right column.
Yeah,
I love that.
100%. What got you into radio? Like, did you always were you always like headphones on as a kid growing up, love music or?
No, I didn't. No, I don't know. I was just floating through life probably, but there was. I'm going to take you way back. Okay, so
here we go.
Let's start from birth.
DJ Hurley, cue the 90s beats.
So there used to be a show. It's still on ESPN, NFL Primetime. Mm-hmm. But when I was younger, that was my favorite show on TV.
Yeah,
it's a show where they recap the NFL games. Like that's it. They show the highlights. And one day, I just remember thinking, man, there's like 10,000 NFL highlight shows, but why is this one my favorite? And I remember it was because of the way that they delivered the highlights. They did it with personality. They didn't just say like, oh, a touchdown from this guy to this guy. Right. Like they would, Chris Berman was the guy, and he'd give everybody a nickname.
Oh,
he'd do sound effects when they scored touchdowns. Yeah. And I kind of made that connection, and I was like, okay, I kind of want to do something like that. And then
and you're how old at this point? Like, where are we in Ramiro's life?
I was a teenager at this point. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that seed was planted there.
Right.
I'm like, I kind of want to do something with my personality. Then I was like, TV, like comedy or whatever. So one day randomly, I'm in high school and I was I'd just dick around, but whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm dicking around with a friend of mine, and he has this like pamphlet for this broadcasting school. And I was like, what's that? And he said, broadcasting school, man. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I look at it and I was like, it was literally like an an 8-month program. It wasn't,
Okay.
you know what I mean? I didn't go to college.
Right.
When I was younger, I thought college was a place you went to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I was like, and I didn't have anybody around me that went to college. So I'd be like, no, there's a lot of options.
Yep.
So I was like, I don't want to do that. But when I saw this, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. And it was like a radio and TV thing. And then I just kind of sat down and thought about it and was like, and this is, by the way, with no, like, now you can Google stuff and kind of learn about it. I had no idea, but in my head, I was like,
blind.
Yeah. I was like, okay, if I do TV, I feel like I'm reading a lot of scripts. I don't want to read scripts. I kind of want to have my own personality and stuff. And so, I was like, I want to do radio. And then, like I said, I started calling radio stations trying to get in, and they were like, nah, that's not how it works. You kind of need an internship with credit. So I went to that broadcasting school. Did
you know you had a radio voice at that time? I mean, you're probably still like going through like puberty at that time, but
I went to puberty probably like in the 6th grade. In the 6th grade, I was
oh my god,
I had a mustache. I was the tallest kid.
You
and
were
then
doing FM radio the late night.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ramiro.
12.
I was in the 6th grade. I was huge.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, 7th grade, like they're catching up to me. 8th grade, they caught up to me. Once I hit high school, everybody passed me. Oh. I peaked early.
Yeah, exactly.
I was the hairiest, tallest kid in the 6th grade. But so I had a deep voice already. But see, the thing was funny about the voice. I didn't care about I was like, I want to make people, like, for me, I just want to like mess with people and make them laugh and things like that.
Right.
And so they had a what do you call it, like a cork board or whatever, and on that they had pieces of paper like tacked on there with different internships and stuff.
Okay, yep.
And I saw one at Jammin' at the time, and I went over and I was like, boom. I took it and I stuck it in my pocket. I was like, nobody else. Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so, you took the whole flyer.
Yeah.
Not
I took a flyer so nobody else.
Numbers that ripple in the wind.
No. I took the whole flyer so nobody else. Yeah. So then I proceeded to call them every single day.
Oh
Persistence right there.
It is. It's persistence to the point where the guy answering the phone, he's still my good friend to this day, because he'd pick up, he was like the receptionist, and he'd be like, Jammin' 94.5, this is Bruce. And I was like, hi, and he'd go, oh, Ramiro. Hold on a second. Let me put you through to Pete. This guy, his name was Pete. He was in charge of the interns. And eventually one day he literally got sick of me, and he picked up the phone. He goes, just show up tonight.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
So I showed up, and he said, just show up tonight, but he didn't tell anybody.
Yep.
So I showed up, and it was for the guy on at night. His name was Ramiro. And I walked into him as I was about to walk into the studio, and he goes, who the hell are you? And I was like, Ramiro, I'm your intern. And he shook his head. He goes, God, I wish Pete would tell me these things. And he walked in the studio and slammed the door behind him.
Oh my God.
That was my intro.
Let's
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then from there it was just I would do whatever.
Yeah.
I just do whatever. Even if I didn't know how to do something, I'm like sitting there. I'm like, yeah, I know how to do it. And I would go like into the production studio and be on the machine.
Final Cut Pro.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I was doing all that, and there was 2 other interns at night. One of them was, this is like it's almost like looking back in retrospect, I'm like, this should be like a little mini documentary. So it was myself, the other intern, he was there forever. He was on air at a station in Providence.
Yep.
So he kind of thought he was like the shit. And the other intern just wanted to get laid. So he was just picking up the phone and just wanted to bang girls. So he didn't care. So I'm in there just busting my ass. The guy who's been there forever is like, I don't need to do this. Pass it on to Ramiro. And the other guy was just like, yeah, give it to Ramiro, because I don't want to do anything at all. I just want to get laid.
Right.
So anyway, fast forward 6 months, and now like I'm on air, and the guy who was there forever was mad because he was like, what?
Yeah,
I've been here before you.
And was your show, was that at night?
So no, I started
Like your first.
my first. So the way I actually did it was the day I graduated broadcasting school, I got hired at a station in New Bedford, Fun 107.
Okay. Yep.
Did a show there. I was supposed to actually do an hour there, but the guy who was on, it was like overnights.
Right.
And I walk in and I go, man, I'm only supposed to be on for an hour. This sucks, because they want to try me out.
Right.
Yeah.
I said, this kind of sucks. I go, in an hour, you're only getting warmed up.
Right.
And the guy who was on overnights goes, dude, I know JR. JR was a program director. He goes, and he also did mornings. He goes, I know his schedule, man. He gets up at 4. Just, you can go on till 4. I'll be on the couch sleeping. Wake me up.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did the 4 hours. I had, again, going back. It was a cassette. I had a cassette.
What now?
Yeah, exactly. I go to jamming. I have my little cassette because I was interning at jamming.
Right.
Still. I do the thing. Everyone's like, hey, man, what's going on? I'm like, I did my first radio show yesterday.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So everyone's, people are trying to be nice, and they're like, that's great, man. I'd love to hear it. And I was like, I got it right here.
Oh,
and then
my
you can
God.
you can see their
I'm glad
face.
you asked, actually.
Yeah. And you can see their face go like this. They're like they didn't mean it.
Yeah.
It's like when someone's like, how do you do? How are you doing? They don't really care.
Exactly.
They're just like, tell me
come
you do.
over whenever. And
You
they're
sit
like,
them down.
How's tomorrow?
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
"Ooh."
Yeah. So now I'm playing it for everybody.
All 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I'll play whoever
Sit down,
for
it's
however.
a cool 4 hours.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
going to love it.
Well, whoever would sit and listen to the phone,
Right.
But so I was playing it at the time. I was in the studio playing it for the lady on in the afternoon, and Ralphie, who was the guy I interned for, walked in, heard it, stopped the tape, grabbed it, and walked out. Yeah, and I didn't think too much of it.
He's like, we had 3 hours left. What are you doing?
Yeah. So now I'm sitting there just BSing with Lady D. She was the lady doing afternoons, and she goes, "Oh shit." So what? She goes, "Ralphie's playing your tape for Cadillac, who was the program director,
Oh,
because she
wow.
could see behind me."
Yep.
And then she was fucking with me. I go, "What's happening?" She goes, "He hates it. He's laughing.
He's
he sucks."
actively puking right now.
Yeah. But he was like, she goes, "No, he's coming over here right now." And I'm like, "No way." So he comes in and he goes, "Hey, I heard your tape sounds pretty good. Do you want to air check with me?" And air checking is basically like somebody listening to your show and critiquing it.
Okay, yep.
I was like, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "All right, when's your next show?" And I said, "I don't know, this weekend or something." He goes,
Yep.
"Okay." So I did the second show, came in the next day, air checked it with Cadillac, and he said, "So I got some fill-ins coming up for the summer. Do you want to do them?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." So I'm thinking it's going to be like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
He goes, "Okay, I'm working on the schedule right now. I'll get it to you." I said, "All right, cool." So I go back in the studio and I said, "Ralphie, I think I'm going to be on the air." And he said, "When?" I go, "I don't know. He's working on the schedule now." He comes in like probably 10 minutes later, and again, this is the 90s. So the schedule was literally on paper.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
And
yeah.
it was like a stack of paper like this thick, and he dropped it on my
Thumbing
lap.
through it.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh God, now I got to look through this thing to figure out when I'm going to be on. I turned the first page, and I was on every overnight from June to September.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Plus, I was on at Fun 107 Saturdays and Sundays. So I was on. Now I'm starting.
Damn.
I'm on 7 days. So you just get better by accident.
Yeah.
Right.
With
the
with the rest.
repetition of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started, and then from there, a couple years later, I did nights, then afternoons, and then I started doing mornings in 2001.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I've been doing mornings.
And is that 2001 show? That was the official like morning show for this is all Jam 94.5.
This is at Jammin', yeah.
Yep.
This is at Jammin'. Yeah, so I started with Pebbles there.
Yep. And it was that who came up with the jam scams? I can assume a guy of your caliber you came up with.
No, so the guy who was on before me with Pebbles, Baltazar, he was doing it.
Okay,
and then,
gotcha.
And then when I took over, I took it and did it better.
God, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
Ran with it.
because yours were great.
Thank
did you
you.
ever have one of those backfire hard? Like, did you ever feel pressure on the air of like,
I mean,
if we spoil this whole thing, it's
We recorded them, so it's like backfire. It's like there's people who recognize me. There's people who wouldn't
okay.
answer the phone. There's people who hung up.
Right.
There's people. My favorite
Oh, God.
is that I would call and they'd go, "Oh shit, yeah, my friend told me he was gonna do this to me," and I'm like, "Your friend's an idiot because he ruined the
bastard.
surprise."
Oh,
Right.
my
Yeah.
God.
But we did a code. Like there were people that when it started catching on, that would have us like do some of the athletes. So I got a couple Patriots. I got
let's go.
the Bruins and stuff
Yep.
like that. So it was
That's
good.
hilarious.
hell yeah,
Yeah.
And did people always tell you like going through broadcast school, early '90s is your internship? Now 2001, were people telling you like you have the voice to do this, or was it always in yourself of like I know I can do this?
Yeah, I just always. Do you ever heard of like The Secret? That it's like the law of attraction
Yeah,
and
the
stuff
law-
like that.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, so before I even knew what that was, I just always had that kind of in my head. I just kind of was visualizing the next. I think a lot of people sometimes with things, they're just like thinking about right now.
Right.
I always, from when I started, was visualizing years ahead, almost like my career and stuff like that. So, because when you do stuff like that, you almost then start working. You just approach things in a different way.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like
100%.
you're not just kind of
Yeah.
like half-assing it.
Right.
You're like,
or like
right.
that arrogant kid who was like, I already got up here, so I don't need to do this stuff.
Right,
You're
right.
like, great. Well, I'll take it. Like,
Yeah. And I see that like when we used to have interns and stuff, I would ask them, I'd be like, hey, what do you want to do? And they'd go, I don't know. I said, well,
They had no plan.
yeah. And I said, okay, think about the ultimate thing. Oh, I think maybe a vice president. I said, don't give me a title. If I said to you, okay, I'll say to you, Kevin, I'm going to give you $1 million. All right. You tell me what you're going to do. Don't give me a fucking title. Just
Right.
describe what you're going to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And people would actually be like, I have to think about
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, what do you mean you have to think about it? Okay, well, go think about it and come back. And then once you have that, then it's easier. Okay, that's your I don't want to say goal because life is a constant journey.
Yeah.
But let's say that's your 10-year plan, right?
Right.
Okay, you know that's what you want to be in 10 years. Now, okay, to get there in 10 years, where should you be in 5 years? Okay, to be there in 5 years, what should you be doing in 2 years? So now you're not just like going, oh, let me try and go for this job. You're going to things in a different, let's say if you're going for a job interview, you're almost interviewing them.
Yes.
As opposed to, because you're like, is this position
want
right for me?
Yeah.
Is this going to lead me to where I want to go? So I just always had that mentality.
Yeah.
Which again, after I learned about The Secret, I'm like, oh shit.
Like, I basically wrote this.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm like, I did The Secret before. I should have told them how to do this. Yeah.
That's great life advice too. You know,
Absolutely.
like that is like, yeah, to be able to visualize it. We get a kind of mix. So it's interesting. Like on social, we try to read every comment and every DM, and you get people from like all walks of life.
Yeah.
Some that like completely buy into like the law of attraction, and like you got to be able to visualize it. And then you get like the other people that are like, that is such horseshit, but it is so true. Like to be able to visualize, especially for you, like for us, it's, I don't want to say, we just have different opportunities now with social.
Yeah.
That gets you in the room with people. Without you, like early 90s, I couldn't even imagine the career path for me to think mentally like, okay, like for us, we're like telling our parents like we're doing social media full time, and they're like hyped. They're like, oh yeah. Freaking my dad's like, you think you get us tickets to talking about different shows and sporting events? But in the 90s, it's like it's such a different world. You have to like really go and like politic. It almost seems like shake hands.
Yeah.
Like physically go on your campaign.
So it's like positives and negatives to then and now. Like then it was, you had to figure out a way to get the opportunity so you can kind of, like the opportunity was just like, somebody give me a chance to get on air,
right?
So I can start getting good, and then from there, start moving up and stuff. It's just different, and like now the opportunity is whatever you want to do, whether it's a podcast, anything like that. Anybody could do it,
right?
But the downside of that is anybody could do it.
Yeah.
So you gotta like,
there's so much noise now.
Yeah, but like how we were talking about, before we start, or maybe one, I don't even remember, but when you were saying you did the thing at Fenway Park and you were telling me all the people, it's now the good thing is if you find your niche, man, it's like
100%.
I mean, there's a dude on YouTube that it's called Comics Explained, right? Mm-hmm. I like comic books. This dude's whole thing is he will go on YouTube and basically tell you a story in a comic book.
Oh, no way.
But he does it in an entertaining way.
Yeah.
And that's his fucking thing.
That's
that's his thing.
Yeah.
He reads a comic book and then tells you the story.
Right.
And if you said that years ago, people would be like, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
But now it's like, that's his niche. And what you guys doing, when you find your niche, now you can build an audience from that and it make it sustainable.
Yeah, 100%. Where was and we don't have to bring any of this up too. I don't know the full backstory. Is there, you jumped from jamming to 96.9.
Yeah.
Was there, I'm trying to remember, was there like beef in between there? Or was it like you were just like, I'm going to move on to like the next chapter for me? Like what was that transition period like?
No, it was, I guess you could say beef in a way, but it was, it was just, so a new program director came in. So Cadillac, the guy who basically started me in radio, put me on, I would take a bullet for that man because he's given me basically every opportunity that I've had. Everything I've done has somehow, if he didn't give it to me directly, it was somehow you could connect it to him.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I just have a loyalty to him, like hard. He's legit. Like I said earlier, like when I was younger, I'm like, I was just kind of floating around.
Yeah.
See, because I didn't really, like I would play sports with my friends and things like that. But like even in school and since I didn't play sports, I never had like a kind of like a coach or a mentor or that person who tells me like, who told you like, oh, wow, you could be good at this.
Right.
Until I met him. So it's like once I got into radio and I wanted to do it, and then I met him and he was someone who was like, you could do this. Not like, I always say like he's my Bill Belichick to Tom Brady. He wasn't like always like, hey, you're great, but he'd be honest with me. But I always have wanted to impress him almost. Right. You know, I work hard even to this day. I still work with him now. But at the time at Jammin', he went to go program in New York and we got a new program director.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this guy, I'll just say, I didn't say it like this then. Now I'll just say we have different styles. So he was very...
Seems incredibly PG of you to say.
Yeah. Well, I used to call him a college coach because I said, yo, man, you're a college coach. He goes, what do you mean? I said, a college coach gets all these dudes around the same age range. And he's just like, guys, just listen to me.
Right.
Do what I say and we'll win. And they're all like, yeah. I said, I need an NFL coach. An NFL coach is like, listen, I got somebody here who's a rookie in the league.
Right.
I got a dude here who's 36.
Yeah.
I got a guy here who's 28. Everybody's in different stages of life.
Right.
Everybody gets motivated by different things. Some guys get motivated by positivity. Some guys get motivated because, hey, if you don't do good, I'm gonna fire your ass.
Right.
Some guys get motivated just straight up by money. You know, and he figures out all these different personalities and somehow molds them into like if you're good, into a winning unit. Right. So my thing is I'm like, listen, I know you're ultimately my boss. However, that doesn't mean that everything you say is right. It's just a fucking title.
Right.
Let me give some input here.
100%.
And he took me giving input as me being almost like, I don't want to just shut the fuck up and let me do what I do.
Right.
And it wasn't that. It's just like, if you're telling me, hey, we're going to go in this direction, we're going to do this, naturally, I'm curious. I'm going to be like, why? Why are we doing that?
Right. Which is how it should be.
Yes.
Because if you get surrounded by yes men, like I'm a big, I love like history in general, but like big Jocko fan.
Oh, I love Jocko.
But he talks about all the time, like if you surround yourself with yes men, like yes men get you killed, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, and for you not to kind of poke and probe for the greater good of, at the time, Jammin'.
Yeah.
She should have welcomed that, with open arms.
Right.
You know?
Like ultimately, like, dude, we all want to win here. Right. We all want, but at the same time, it's like I've been one time he said to me, you know what your problem is? And I said, what? And he said, you've been in the same city for your entire career. And I said, that's a problem? Right. I said, you know what your problem is? You haven't been in a city for more than 5 years. Right. I said, I don't know about you, but if we were both baseball players, I'm Derek Jeter, and you're some fucking scrub who can't hang on to a team. Right. I'm like,
we need buttons back there, Hurley. Big explosion.
Yeah. But I also saw his point because I'm like, okay, you're seeing things from different point of views. That's what you're talking about. You've been in different cities. You see the way things are done differently, which is good. But at the same time, I think the fact that I've been here my entire life, and by accident, I just know things about the city. Like I don't have to learn it.
Right.
I think that's a bonus.
100%.
So we just had two different styles, and because I wasn't always like, yes, whatever you say. Right. I think he thought that was more of a
starting to butt heads too much.
Right. So then it came contract time, and I was like, I don't know if I wanted to keep doing this.
Yeah. Right.
And they, long story short, the company basically, like a higher up, said, well, okay, what if you don't have to deal with him at all and only deal with me? And I said, listen, man, I'm a team player. I don't want some weird friction. Like
walk into the office like this.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want that dynamic. I want us all to work together. I just honestly don't think that he and I are, ultimately. Again, I'm always like looking a little bit ahead, and I was like, ultimately, this is just not gonna end well. So I didn't resign. They kind of did me dirty in a way because I was supposed to. So the way my contract was set up was starting in July is when I could start renegotiating with the company. Mm-hmm. That was in the contract. So they were trying to sign me before that. So then right before July, they said, well, here's the contract. You know, you should have it signed by Friday or whatever it was. And I'm like, dude, I don't have to look at it till Thursday.
Right.
There's no way this thing's going to get, no one has ever looked at a contract and been like, perfect, let's do it. You know, I'm like, you pass it on to lawyers, all that shit.
Yeah.
I said, and they're not going to look at it and say, sign it immediately. So that's just like logistically not possible.
Right.
And they said, well, you know, if you don't, we just don't know what's going to happen. And I'm like, with the bullshit.
After all those years, too.
Yeah. So I didn't sign it. So now here's the thing. They didn't, because if they let me go, I could have, then it would have been smart if Hot took me right away and been like, boom, switch over.
Right.
You know, what the fuck is going on? But what they did was they did this thing called pay for play, where basically, so my contract ended at the end of the year, and they pay for played me, which meant I was still an employee, still making my full salary, but they just took me off the air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, that's not a bad thing.
Great.
I'm like, so I'm getting like a 6-month fully paid vacation.
Right.
Yeah, but the only thing is I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody else. So yeah. So now for those 6 months, I wasn't talking to anybody. But it's funny because that year, that was 2015. New Year's fell on a Friday, right? My contract ended at midnight. So Friday, you know, at midnight it ended. Monday morning, Cadillac calls me and goes,
oh, hell yeah.
you want to talk? And I was like, dude, where are we meeting? We met Monday. I think I signed the contract Tuesday. I think, yeah.
Oh my God, good contract.
Listen, I trust him.
Go.
He's someone who I do trust. And so I was out of work for a weekend.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but
Oh my God,
yeah.
good for you.
And then the thing is, so a lot of times in radio, people will work somewhere for like 3 years, 4 years, move on or whatever.
Right.
If you're gone, if you leave a station and, you know, you only been there for like 3 years, nobody fucking notices.
Right.
But I was at Jammin' for 20 years.
You're right.
So now, when I came back to Hot, it was almost like let's go back to wrestling. Some dude gets injured. 5 months later, his music hits. People are like, oh shit, he's back.
Yep.
So that's like what happened, and all of a sudden the audience all went to Hot.
Oh,
so,
hell
Awesome.
yeah. And I was working with the same people like Pebbles and Melissa, and who they were at Jammin'. They moved over to Hot before me.
Right.
So like it was probably, of anybody switching stations, it was probably the best situation because I went to another station, same market, working with the same show, same format, and we just took
Same
the audience.
team.
Yeah.
That's so
Good
awesome.
for you.
So that, yeah.
How did you guys meet? Like Melissa and Pebbles, like did you know each other outside of radio? Or
I knew them from Jammin'.
Okay.
So Pebbles was on with Baltazar, and then Melissa started, and she got on with them too. And
Gotcha.
I was doing nights and then afternoon, so I knew them.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then when Baltazar left and they put me on, and actually that was a funny story too. How long is this podcast?
Oh, hey, this is
As long as you want it.
No time limit.
Okay.
That's what's fun about pods versus.
It really is.
We just did Jesus, what was the name of it? USA Today, or no, the Hub Today.
Hub, yeah.
We were in there for like an hour.
Yeah.
And sitting in studio, and they were awesome. Like great team over there, so much fun. You were only on the air for like, I think we were on for like barely 2 minutes,
I'd
two
say
and a half
like a minute and a
minutes.
half,
You know, so they're squeezing in like, you're like, how'd you get your career started? Like, what's next? How'd you guys meet? In like 3 minutes, I was like, this is wild.
Yeah, that's freaking radio. It sucks. I've always we gotta talk because I want to do this. I'm just
100%. Yeah.
Well, after your story, I wanted to ask too, like you kind of touched upon it, like when you started, like radio was, you know, it was radio or TV.
Yeah.
Now there's so many other options. So I wanted to ask you know, like where do you see radio like intertwining in that, or where do you see you like intertwining in that? But I want to hear your story, the funny story.
Oh, okay. So I was doing afternoons at Jammin'. I just signed my contract to do afternoons that April. This is 2001.
Okay.
And so before that, again, anybody who knew me for like more than 5 seconds who was in radio, they knew I ultimately wanted to do mornings.
Right.
That's just like what I wanted to do. So a buddy of mine who was doing nights at the time, he went to Orlando to go program a station in Orlando. and he hit me up and he's like, I know you want to do mornings. Let's talk about you doing mornings in Orlando. And at the same time, our former music director, he left Jammin' to go program a station in Denver. And he called me up and he said, let's go talk about you coming to Denver. And then at the same time, a random dude who I didn't know, but I don't know, he heard of me or something like that in New York, was trying to call me up and tried to get me to go to New York. So now I have Orlando, Denver, and New York.
Yep.
Just so you know, New York's the #1 market for radio.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Where do you think I would go of those three?
If New York was #1, I would assume New York.
Okay.
But of course, it's not going to happen. I'd say Denver.
Okay. So here's the thing. So I went. The first one I ruled out was New York. As crazy as it sounds, because I was like, when I was
too much noise in there, like
just the way the vibe I was getting from the dude, I'm like, this is not gonna work out. He was like, this is how we're gonna do it, blah 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 blah, and I was like,
classic New Yorker.
Yeah, I was like,
Slick
I don't know if I'm feeling that. So then Orlando, I was like, okay, well I'll probably go to Orlando because it's more of a, like, Denver's in the middle of nowhere, kind of like Orlando. This is, back then. Now,
right.
Denver's up and coming now, but
right.
I'm like, Orlando, I feel like it has more people, whether the tourism and all that stuff. So I was talking to my friend out there about doing mornings, but whenever the issue of like money came up, he would always say, Orlando, the cost of living is cheap, and I'm like, all right, but how much are you thinking about? I mean, the cost of living is cheap. Yeah. And I'm like, is the cost of living zero? Because so far you're not giving me a fucking number here. So I did Denver kind of like out of this, like, hey, let me just check it out. And when I went there, everybody at the station was so cool. It just had a good, like,
actively smoking.
Yeah. There was just like,
cameras even see me.
No, it was like a younger team. Just like everybody had a really, really good attitude. So I was gonna go to Denver.
Wow.
So at the time, you win.
Yeah.
No.
So at the time,
checks out. That checks out fully.
Yeah, I was. So Cadillac was still kind of in charge, but he was in charge of Jammin' and Kiss 108 because they were sister stations. They still are. But he was more programming Kiss, and he had Jammin' under another program director. So I went to that guy and I said, hey, can I get out of my contract so I can go to Denver? And he was like, okay, yeah, because you're not going to do mornings here. And I'm like, I didn't say anything about, he would keep mentioning like,
right,
we're going to re-sign Baltazar. We're going to re-sign Baltazar. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever.
Right.
And then I got frustrated one day when he said that again. And I said, that's fine. Because you know what? I'm going to go to Denver and get really, really fucking good. And in like 2 or 3 years, you're going to call me to come back. That's what's going to happen.
Fuck yeah.
So I was all set to go. He let me out of my contract. I was all set to go to Denver, right? Yep. Cadillac heard about that, immediately took him out of his position, assumed programming Jammin' again. Yeah, he didn't fire him. He just like demoted him a little bit. He took over programming Jammin'. He called me and he said, what if you do mornings here? And I was like, I mean, yeah, I'll do it.
Slowly unzip suitcase.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'll do it. So like that's like, before that he gave me opportunities, but when that happened, that's when I was like, wow, this dude, I felt like it was me and him against the world because nobody knew, they were just like, what? Why are you putting this kid on? He doesn't, he doesn't, not that they were like, he doesn't know what he's doing, but they were just like, that came out of nowhere.
Right.
And it was this weird thing where I just felt like, I'm like, man, he's really taking a chance on me. And that's kind of when I just always have been like, again, I would fight somebody for that, man.
That's awesome.
I need to meet this man.
Yeah. Cadillac sounds like the good version of Suge Knight, where he's very powerful.
Yeah.
He moves pieces around. Minus, Suge
but what
Knight's
happened to Baltazar?
But they didn't sign him. They didn't re-sign him because his contract was up. The timing of it was weird because his contract, he was gonna re-sign his contract, so his was ending, and it was around the same time that I was about to leave. So they called him up and they were like, never mind, the offer's off the table.
You really do need maybe even comes from this. We put a little like sizzle reel together. You need a documentary on this. Yeah.
It is 100%. It's a crazy story, but
because the radio industry in general, outsiders looking in, seems so like just like for us, it looks like almost like Fort Knox, especially growing up. It's like, oh, they're on there. They're there for 20 years. Like, no one's getting in, you know, outside of the, you know, however many shows they have in place throughout the day. And your story, like knowing the inner workings, almost like any company has like their crazy, you know, contract negotiations and fallouts. But the radio stuff is, I mean, you could totally put a documentary together on this.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of it is, you know, like looking back on it now, I'm like, man, it was, you know, Cadillac taking a risk and a chance on me. It was me kind of like betting on myself at one point, but that's how it's kind of like what you guys are doing. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like it's like there's kind of a blueprint there, but you're really, you know, you're doing your thing and taking a chance.
I think a lot of it too is, at least in like your story and like from a lot of the stuff that we see with like social media, things like that, is like being humble and authentic. Because like you're saying, like you knew what you wanted. You weren't gonna, you know, just say yes to the people you didn't believe in. Like, and you're like, I'm gonna take that risk on myself, and like it worked out, and like people want to see that. People don't want like the yes man, like you're saying,
right? Because
like,
if you're a yes man,
100%.
if you're a yes man, right now you're leaving yourself at the whim of the person you're saying yes to.
Right.
Who's to say they're always going to be right, you know? Or or what if they just get sick of you or whatever? Yeah. And I'm not saying that everything that every decision you make is going to be the right decision, but it's almost easier, in my opinion, if something doesn't work out, to be like, well, that didn't work out, but it was on me.
Right.
Some people don't like that.
Right.
They like hot potato blaming someone else. Yeah. Oh, I mean, if it was Ashley's the reason that I didn't get that, or Kevin's the reason. I liked going back to Jocko.
Yeah. Extreme ownership.
Extreme ownership. Yeah. You got to own that shit.
Great book.
Oh my God. It's phenomenal.
Guy. She gets any war movie we watched. Like we watched American Sniper.
Yep.
I was like,
saddest movie of my life.
I was like, Jocko used to be the commander for Chris Kyle, actually.
Yeah.
She's like, I know, Kevin. We've watched this 1,000 times.
Just watched,
Bruiser, baby.
Dude, we just watched Captain Phillip, right? Yep. Yeah, and that was the one. He's like, so that's Jocko right there. Like, that's Jocko. And he's like, Jocko's the guy. And I'm like, I know. Like, I know.
Yeah, no, but a lot of the stuff that guy, it's funny, like now, that's why I love social media and things like that, because again, like with The Secret and things like that, there was just a lot of things that I always thought about, but I didn't know. Yeah. I was just like, this is what I think I should do. And I did it. And then like years later, you hear people almost verbalize it. And I'm like, okay, I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, his whole thing, discipline equals freedom and stuff.
Yeah.
When I started doing mornings, I would see, and I know people, and you know what, who I work with, Pebbles and Melissa, like they depending on the day, they're like, I might go to bed at midnight. I might go to bed at 6:30. I might go to bed at 2 a.m. I'm like, I go to bed at the same time every day. I get up in the morning. Yeah. I work out. I have my schedule, but I do all that because I set myself up for the day. So for the show. So the only thing that is I have to worry about is the show. Like you control what you can control.
100.
Right.
As so important.
You know, and but when I started, there was nobody there or no book that told me about that.
Right.
I was just like,
You're almost innately doing it.
Yes.
Without someone.
Right.
Yeah.
And then hearing and reading those things, I'm like, oh, okay. So I was kind of doing the right thing, you know?
On the path.
So you work out before the show?
I get up at 2 a.m. Yeah.
Ooh, we were actually like wondering about that because we saw like you really like, you said Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is what you're into now.
Yeah, man. I wish I can get into it more consistently because my damn kids, they keep on.
You can tackle them around, you know?
Yeah. I got them in class, actually.
Dude, let's go.
Awesome. I do. I got my little ones in class. But yeah, no. So I get up and you know what it is? Okay. So at 3 in the afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon, anybody could call, text, people will contact you for nothing.
Right.
You know?
Right.
There's just constant things happening.
Yeah.
At 2:30 in the morning, if somebody's calling me, if somebody's reaching out to me, it's an emergency. So I know I'm going to be left alone, and I have the discipline like that. I'm like, I don't need to go to the gym. I have a gym in my basement.
Yeah,
I go down there. I get after it.
You're legit, Jocko.
I was going to say, isn't that Jocko who wakes up because he can get stuff done before people are even awake?
If I put my watch, how Jocko does his watch, he does a watch at like 4:30, right?
I was just about to say that.
My watch would say like 2:10, 2:15.
You should start doing it.
Jocko's ass.
People
right
would
there.
throw up.
What time do you go to bed?
Yeah.
What time do you shut it down at night?
I go to bed. So we put our kids to bed like at 6.
Yep.
we got them on a good ass schedule.
They're 17 in bed at 6.
Yeah.
Good happens after 5:30. Right?
Exactly. But no, so we put them down, the little ones, and then I get usually about into bed around, let's say 6, anywhere between 6:30.
Wow.
Do some little work and stuff, preparation for the next day, decompress, and I don't want to see. Usually, I would say around 7:30. I don't want to see 8 o'clock. I don't want to see 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I would say usually about 7:30. I'm out.
And what about your wife? Like, what time does she?
She does. She's hardcore too. She's hardcore,
Really?
and she's
Awesome.
And she's a real estate attorney, so her schedule is completely different from mine.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but she's still so. When I'm finishing working out about 3, I'm coming upstairs. She's waking up to go downstairs. So we're like tagged. Like high-fiving each other.
God.
I'm
What a
coming up,
team.
she's coming down.
Seriously.
Yeah. And at night too, she's like, "Hey, listen, I got kids. I got to work out. I got a job that's busy." So she goes to bed early also, so she can get her sleep.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
We
a
have
good
to be
it's a good
better at
matchup.
Going to bed
Yeah.
early. We keep saying that.
It's the one bad thing about social media. It's like our screen time is, and it's not even like we're consuming it. It's like editing, and then you send it back to like both our managers, and there'll be captions change, or like, hey, cut this out and substitute it with this. Like, so it's like constant. Like we have like barber's fingers, where our fingers are like just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And we got to definitely.
We've
tighten
gotten
that up.
better, especially this week and stuff. But I also think the summer makes it hard because now you're going to bed with the sun still bright and shining.
Yep.
How many blackout shades do you guys have? Do you have endless blackout shades in there?
I take a nap every afternoon, and I do it in. I have like a room in my basement that has almost like a little movie room.
Yep. Yep.
But the couch in there is super comfortable, and when you turn out the light, it is black like that. You can't see your
I
hand in
love
front of your
that.
face.
Yeah.
So I catch a solid hour nap in the afternoon in there. But when I go to bed in my room, it's like, even with the shades and everything, like we just get a lot of. It's what do they call it? Like good outdoor lighting or whatever.
Yeah, the
So
natural lighting.
The natural lighting, yeah. So
Yeah.
it kind of like I'll put something on my pillow over my face and stuff. But it works. I mean,
Yeah.
I could fall asleep on a police car with a siren on at this point.
No, literally.
I have no problem sleeping.
Is that due to the copious amount of children over there in that household?
It's due to the children, the fact that I get up so damn early,
Yep.
and you don't necessarily get used to that schedule. You just you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the kids, man, they keep you busy. Like again,
Yeah.
my wife deals with them in the morning, getting them ready, bringing them to school, and then I do after, picking them up, activities, and
Right.
all that stuff. So
good for
I don't
you.
understand. Can I tell you? I have friends who have little kids, and they'll gain weight, and they'll blame it on the kids, and I'm like, I say, how do you? I can't even sit down.
Right.
I'm like, my kids don't let me sit down, and you're gaining weight with little kids.
Selfish.
Yeah, don't they get you up and moving and all that stuff? Like, I
Right.
feel like you should lose weight by accident.
100%.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of it, and I'm not saying your friends, I'm just saying a lot of it, I'm sure people don't want to be running around with kids right now. So they're like, there's the iPad.
Yes,
you're done.
That's what it is.
So yeah, but you're keeping them active, you put them in jiu-jitsu, and that's amazing. And that's going to teach them discipline.
Trying to.
They'll be up at 2:30 soon with you.
Hell yeah, getting after it.
I love
Salute in the front yard.
Yeah.
We are probably a year out. So we're getting married December 16th this year.
Really?
And then after that, we'll start trying for kids. So
Yeah.
we're probably a year, 2 years-ish out.
We'll have a kid in 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, where are you guys getting married?
The Park.
Park Plaza.
In December?
Right? Thank you.
In December? You did it for the price.
I'm so glad this
So
came
my birthday is 12/14, and
Okay.
then so December's a wicked busy month for both my family and his family. So that makes it seem like you wouldn't want it then, but both our
correct.
families are just
You would
obsessed
not.
with Christmas.
Okay.
So I'm like, I've never wanted a wedding that wasn't Christmas.
All right. Hey.
You know.
I just
But
want to
then
know
we
the
got
reason.
engaged, and so we got engaged not even 3 months ago. And I was like, well, and we didn't book anything prior to the wedding. So we would go look at venues, and I'm like, we literally have 2 Saturdays we can pick from. And if you don't have it this year too, mind you, I was like, if you don't have it, we can't do this venue because I'm not switching my date. So we
That's
can't.
that old school East Boston, Italian
thing. But
mentality there.
Our top choice, we went in and she was like, I have Saturday the 16th. Is that okay with you guys? I was like, that is what we wanted. Thank you very much. I was like, Kevin, write the check.
It's unbelievable. I was like, December, it's her mother's birthday, my mother's birthday, Jesus' birthday.
Yeah.
And you want us to now get married in the mix of that.
It's my birthday, my sister's birthday, our nephew's birthday.
2 of my kids were born in December.
See,
it's
Valentine's Day is the conceived date beforehand.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
So that's
that makes
why
sense.
all those babies.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Checks out. Yeah, 100%.
So you guys are getting married in December, and kids, and how many kids you guys are saying you wanted?
So I want 4. I mean, I would love 5. I really, actually, genuinely would love 5. But we negotiated down to 4 because he wants.
We've negotiated down to 3.
No,
see how quick she's like
He wants 3. I want 5. So 4 is right in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for at least a set of twins to at least knock that out. You know.
Wow.
You know.
Wishful thinking over
obviously
there.
grateful for anything, but I mean, I'll win. I mean, girls.
Happy wife,
Come here.
happy
Yeah.
life.
So we're like 2 years out from basically like being a somewhat a similar situation of like surrounded by kids.
Babies everywhere.
What advice, and not just for us, but for like new parents in general, would you give to someone who is going to embark on having kids?
For keeping that discipline of your life.
You need to stick to I mean, in the beginning when they're really, really young, it's hard to stick to a schedule, obviously. But once they hit an age where you start, in the beginning you had a bassinet right next to you guys in the bed and stuff like that. Then they're going to hit the age, I forget, there's actually, I want to say 4 months. There's a point where the baby starts realizing where they are. Before that, you want to get them the fuck out of your room and put them in a crib. Now, that's when it gets hard because it's easy, one, when the baby's crying, just to bring them back and put them next to you. Or the baby doesn't want to sleep. Oh, let's just put him in bed with us or put her in bed with us. It's just so much easier. That's when you got to be disciplined and be like, we got to do this in the crib night after night after night. Sometimes it's just put him down, leave him there. Right. There's all different methods. But when you do that consistently, and there's just so many things going on in life, and you're gonna have people giving you a bunch of different advice. Everybody's an expert on babies and dogs.
Yeah.
But what are the most fucked up things in the world? Humans and dogs.
Yeah.
But
it's so good. It's a great hot take right there.
Yeah, but everyone's gonna give you advice. But mine would be stick with it consistently because my youngest, my son's 4, my daughter just turned 6. They still go to bed super early.
Right.
Like I said, we put them to bed at 6. We put them to bed maybe like in the first year or so, the first few months, we like had to kind of rock them to sleep. But I mean, before they were 1, we would literally put them in the crib and walk out of the room and leave them there, and they would basically put themselves to sleep. So now that's just in their head to the point where like there's sometimes we want to do cool fun shit like with them, but it's like at 6-7 o'clock at night, and it destroys their world because they're like, no, I should be in bed sleeping right now. So like they're kind of wired and stuff. Yeah,
right.
So but it's consistent because it's just so easy. Like you're tired, you're both tired. You're just like, oh, we'll deal with it tomorrow. And then you just keep doing that. And it's very inconsistent. So I would say the schedule thing, because whenever I tell parents of kids like around the same age about our kids, they're like, how the fuck? Our neighbors, you ready for this? Our neighbors have 3 kids now.
Yep.
And they're around, I want to say one's like 18 months. And then you got maybe like a 3 or 4-year-old. The other one's like 6. The 3 of them still sleep in the bedroom with the parents.
No way.
But the way they do it is the father sleeps on the bed with 2 of them, and the mother sleeps on a mattress on the floor with another one every night, and they don't go to bed till about,
oh my God.
They don't do dinner until I think like 8:39, and they don't go to bed till like 11:30 midnight.
That's criminal.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that
is insane.
And listen, if it works for you, it works for you. But I think the best, if you want to, be able to get your stuff done, you want to, and look, stuff happens that breaks it up. It's just life, but if you could, you're almost increasing your surface area of good things happening when you try and control those type of things.
Right, 100%. That's great advice right there.
I'm picturing like this family. They're going to be like 16, 15, and 12, still all in like this bed.
Yeah. I'm like, how'd you guys make the third baby with the other two in the bed with you?
Eyes down.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's hilarious.
What is next for you in life and then also at 96.9?
So I would, at this point, I feel as if on radio, it's weird. Like I feel, I don't know how to say this in like it's going to sound cocky, but it's really not. I feel like I've been doing it long enough that I have almost that respect of like, I don't know, being one of the guys who's been on for a while.
Yep.
I don't even know how to explain it.
Right,
it's just like I'm not nervous about. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I still worry, and you know, I want to do great, and I work going every day, working hard and stuff. But I have a different mentality, not the mentality of some people that are like, Jesus, I'm gonna lose my gig if I don't do this.
Right.
Like I've been, you know, I've been doing stuff for long enough that I think, you know, I have the trust of, you know, the people I work with that even when stuff goes weird that we could figure it out.
Right.
But that being said, I actually I would love to do like a podcast. It's the hardest part is like, because of the busyness with the kids and everything, is setting it up, because I'm like, I would love to do it because I love talking.
Yep.
I love the no time limit part of it. I love getting to know people. I love hearing people's stories.
Right.
Like I'm not talking about like a celebrity or like I literally, like, that's why I keep asking you guys, you know, questions and stuff. Cause I just love hearing people. Everybody has a story. You can go find somebody in the street right now and they have a story.
100%.
I love that. But at the same time, as beautiful as this setup that you guys have is, I'm like, I wish I could do it just out of my house and have people come visit me and set that up. And I think I could. 100%. It's honestly, it's the setting up part, because I feel like once it got going, it'd be good.
Yeah.
It's just the build up to it. And I almost like need somebody to get like a schedule type person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the behind the scenes.
100%.
Set up the guests.
Yep.
Set up all the behind the scenes, the logistics.
Yes.
And I kind of just want to roll in.
That way you guys plug in and you're good to go.
I'm like, listen, I'm like, when are they coming over?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. That's perfect. I'll meet them in the basement.
You would crush that.
And we'll have fun.
Like you would destroy that space.
It's literally just getting it started, because I almost did it last year. It was my wife randomly in May got a blood clot in her arm. Which is random. Like usually people get them in their legs because they're inactive, but she's very active. Just had a random one in her arm. So she actually took the summer off of work to deal with that.
Wow.
And we started talking about, you know, I'm like, well, if you don't go back to work, maybe we could do this. And she was going to be like my behind the scenes person, setting everything up. Yeah. But she ended up, it went away luckily.
Oh, thank God.
And, you know, her boss, when she told him what happened, he didn't fire her or anything. He said, take as much time off as you need. And she said, well, I don't know how long it's going to be. He said, it doesn't matter. Just whenever you're ready, you come back. Amazing. So she took off from May, and I think she came back in like October.
Okay.
But before that, we were like talking about it, and I said, okay, so this is what I want to do. And we were like on the verge of buying the equipment. Yep. And I knew where in the house I want to set it up. And then she got her job back, and I'm like, yeah, damn it.
So glad you're healthy. Damn.
Gotta postpone that again. So like that's. But that being said, again, like, you know how I keep saying like seeing things down the road.
Yeah.
I see that. I don't know. Like, I'm like, it's gonna. I don't know when, but I'm like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe we were meant to meet one day. Maybe I'll hit you up and be like, hey, just let me know.
Bring all the equipment.
I'll be like, give me some advice on getting it started. What equipment the best to do.
A Ramiro and Cooney show.
Hello. Now we're talking.
Let's do it.
Love that. Yeah, I like it. Where I want to make sure we plug you up. Where can everyone find you on social? But then also your the morning show as well. Where can they tune in?
Hot 96.9, the radio station, the Hot 96.9 Boston app. Or tell your smart speaker to play Hot 96.9 Boston.
Here we go. This is an ad read right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's well because it's like that's the big thing. Like radio is still behind the curve as far as with digital stuff. It's like they're trying to get on, but I just feel like what a lot of companies are doing is let's see what everyone else is doing and then try it out. And I'm like, come on, man, you got to take risks now. Like, and I'm like, that current's moving. Like if you're looking, if you're in a boat and you're seeing the other boat, that other boat is like. You see it a little bit ahead of you, but then the water's taking it, and you're like, "Where'd that boat go?"
Yeah,
it's way ahead. You got
100%.
You got to start freaking paddling. So, a lot of them I feel like are doing that slowly. So they're slowly going digital, but they're like, "How should we do it?" And I'm like, "Just fucking do it. That's how you do it. Just take a chance, you know." But so that's where I feel like radio is right now.
Yeah,
but,
I agree. We were having that same conversation. I think as soon as Netflix came out, I think it ruined the game for stuff that's like not on demand or stuff that you can't just go and play back at any time, you know.
But I'll tell you the one thing, and no one has ever said to me, and I said, this is where radio could capitalize. But, and I think this is what's good with us because we've been on for a while, so people know us, and we're kind of like, I guess an appliance at this point almost in a weird way where it's just like, I know I'm going to put them on. They're going to be there. I know what I'm going to get because, you know, that type of stuff, which is a good thing. But the one thing radio has to offer that nobody takes, and I'm still trying to figure out how you could really take advantage of because a lot of people are just in different mindsets now that no other form of media does. The only thing that does it like radio is sports. Tell me what. Let's see if you can guess.
That is
radio and sports do.
That radio and sports do that really nothing else does. That I could think of. I'm trying to think. Maybe there is something else out there, but I can't think of something else that does it.
I was gonna say react, but no.
Like reacting on like current events.
Kind of.
Okay, so with what you guys do. YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, all that stuff. Whatever my schedule is, I can make it fit my schedule. There could be a new show that's on Disney, Netflix, or whatever. We're both into it, but you're watching it on a Tuesday night. You're binge watching it Tuesday from like midnight to 4 a.m. I'm watching it on a Saturday, a Tuesday, whatever. Sports and radio are still the things that people can experience simultaneously at the same time. Not listening to podcasts of a radio show, but like listening to a radio show in the morning. You're listening, everyone's hearing the stuff at the same time. You're kind of laughing at the same time with your buddy, you know, and it's the same thing with the sports game. Like you're watching it together with people at the same time. You know, there's people who are like, oh, I'll watch it later, but it's like when it's happening, you're experiencing it together. There's nothing else really that people do that with right 100%. Now. So I think that's a good thing that you should capitalize on. But a lot of people are just out of that mentality. They're like, fuck that. If I want to experience it at 3 p.m, I don't want to listen to it at whatever. So I think that there's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something that they should take advantage of as far as that. That because that's one thing that's unique.
100%.
It's not like that with TV shows. It used to be like that with TV shows.
You
know, it's like Sunday nights, Sopranos. Everybody's watching it at the same time. Oh shit, did you see who got killed? You're calling your friends, you know, or they're all coming over, you're experiencing it together. It's not like that anymore.
We've almost lost that in culture, you know.
Oh, big time.
Like we were talking with my parents the other night. We went over there for dinner and when like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer would come on back in the day when there was like 3 channels. She was like, we'd be talking about it the day before at school. Like the whole family is now gathered. It's like we had that with like American Idol and Survivor, early 2000s. Whole family like 8 p.m. would gather around the one TV. That's totally lost now.
We even like on air for radio, like whatever the big show was, we would be talking about whatever happened the next day. Like the big thing with The Sopranos. Do you remember the finale when it cut off? Well, I'm sorry, that's how it ended, but everyone thought it cut off. Everyone had that thing. I went on the next day. I'm like, yo, I thought my fucking cable busted. And everybody was like, oh shit, me too. I got You know, now I go to talk about. So I just saw that Spider-Man movie.
See, we haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it yet? Okay, see, that's what I mean.
Reaction you're getting.
And I get on Monday and I'm like, yo, that movie was the shit. And everyone's like, shut up, don't tell me, don't spoil it. And I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna spoil it, but you need to go see it because I'm going to give you a week and then I'm going to start talking about it.
Right.
So whereas before you could like do that stuff, now you can't do that with all the big shows, like whatever, Yellowstone, like whatever big show is, people can't be like, oh my God, you see that episode last night or
like,
whatever.
Don't tell me.
They're like, no, I'm on season 2.
Yeah.
I'm on season 2. You're done with it, but I'm on season 2. Don't tell me. And you lose that connection with certain things.
I'm sure this is stewing in my head with radio, like back to you starting your own podcast. And I'm sure it's a nightmare with like licensing for music, but could you take your recorded morning show and just put it on? Like, let's say you started your own, or you just took your morning show, but you put it on Spotify, Apple Music, podcast app.
We do that with some I know that they podcast the show, but again, it's like they do it on the website and things like that. So again, it's like
there's friction for the consumer to get there.
Yeah, it's like you gotta, man. People now they don't want to take 2 steps to find anything. Forget about like 3 or 4.
Exactly.
Yeah, before people would be like, oh, I really want that. Now it's like, I mean, think about it. If you go to see a video clip of something that you were searching for, right? A 15-second commercial comes on and you're like, I don't even want to see this. I don't want to see it that bad.
No,
I don't want to see that guy getting attacked by a shark. Did you see that one? That video?
No. Oh,
the Russian dude in Egypt, I think it was.
Oh, no way.
They got him on video.
No.
This dude, it's like a movie. It's throwing him around. You see his legs getting thrown around. Yeah. And you know, the person on the phone was like, who was videoing it was devastated. But let me tell you something. They held that phone perfectly steady. And then at
4K.
They were like, oh, this is terrible. I hate this. But I'm like, yo,
do a flip.
Fucking, I'm not saying go over there and fight the shark, but try and distract it or something. Like,
throw a rock or
throw something at it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I gotta check that out.
It's crazy. At the end, you see like a guy like on a raft or something coming over him, but then the video cuts off. Yeah.
So that dude's dead. I take it, huh? He's.
Oh my God, dude. He's
that's
chomped.
brutal.
I'm telling you, it was like in the movies when you see them tossing people. You gotta see that. You're
Jaws
like,
in real life.
Yeah. You see his legs. You're like, he's tossing them around like a rag doll.
Damn. We gotta check that out. We definitely gotta check that out.
Oh my
It's
God.
not gruesome. It's like, I mean,
No,
when you know what it is,
Yeah.
it's fucked up, but like, it's not like blood.
Yeah,
in it, but it's a dude getting
Eaten by a shark.
eaten by a shark.
That's my worst fear right there.
And we gotta live with them now.
Yeah.
It used to be like, there's a shark in the Cape. We're shutting down every beach in the Cape for a month.
Yes.
Now they're like, hey, there's a shark in the water. Everyone get out for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally.
We went to St. Martin 2 years ago and we couldn't go swimming in a certain part of the island because a woman just got eaten by a shark. It was like
Really?
the day before we got there.
But then it's so funny because the island is separated. St. Martin, half is French, half is Dutch. But it's the same island. It's a small island, very, very small. You drive the whole thing in like a very short amount of time. But so is the French side, the woman got eaten by a shark. So you couldn't go in the water on the French side, but on the Dutch side you could. And we're like, yeah. So sharks travel.
Yeah.
So
Classic Dutch, am I right?
No.
they can still get us over here. But we were like, okay, well, we're on vacation.
The latest thing I saw was they said there's way more sharks. This was in the West Coast, but who knows? It's going to be like that out here. They said there's actually way more sharks than we think, but a lot of them are juvenile sharks. And the juvenile sharks, they're just curious. They're not going to attack you unless you instigate them. And I'm like,
They're just curious.
that's how bad they want people in the water now.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we're a little overpopulated.
Yeah.
You know, let's go swim.
Yeah.
They'll take a small bite. You'll be fine. You know?
Yeah, there's a shark in the water. Just don't go near the fin.
Yeah.
That's all. It's all good.
That is insanity.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on social? What apps?
Ramiro Torres on Twitter, and I never tweet. I just like say like, hey, listen to the show today or whatever. I got to step up my social game big time. Instagram, Ramiro Torres.
Yep. Hell yeah.
I don't have a TikTok. I'm lying. I have a TikTok. I just don't do anything because all I do is I don't even follow anybody or anything. I just go.
It's like a ghost account.
My algorithm just knows to send me things that make me laugh.
Yeah.
Which is the most ridiculous. It's funny. Like I'm sure there are some creators. Yeah, no, there are. There are creators who create content that gets sent to me, but for the most part, it's like the most amateur.
Yeah.
Like somebody just like a Ring camera, seeing somebody slipping on ice, busting
Yep.
their ass,
So
or like people messing with their friends. It is the most ratchet, ridiculous, hilarious stuff. I saw one the other day where it was a husband and wife. You know, like when you sack tap a dude.
Oh yeah.
They were doing it to each other.
Yikes!
It was a husband and a wife doing it to each other. I'm like, yeah, he'd be going somewhere and just whack her in between the legs. She'd be going somewhere, and it was like a compilation of them just like
Holy
smacking
shit.
each other in between. Yeah, giving each
Husband and
other-
wife bonding, maybe bondage. We don't know.
Oh God.
But I gotta get a TikTok. I almost started one. I might have even taken the name where my wife and I during COVID, that's when she was studying for the bar exam.
Yeah.
And because we had we have my two youngest, we moved in with my parents so that they could kind of help and watch the kids while she studied. And every night, I'm Puerto Rican, obviously. Every night, my parents, they'd be like, "Oh, let's play dominoes. Let's play dominoes."
Yeah.
But like my mother and father, they've been together forever. But like I think at this point, they're just together for convenience,
Yeah.
not necessarily for romance.
Right.
And they would get into the most vicious
From Domino's.
arguments and physical. My mother would throw dominoes at my father, punch his hand. I'm talking.
My God.
So I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna start a TikTok and call it Puerto Rican Family Feud, and just put
my
up
God.
clips of my
Yes.
parents playing dominoes. But I
Yes.
never did it because it was just. I'm like, now in retrospect, I'm like that could have been like taken off from that to something else kind of
100%.
spawned. But at the time, I was like, this would be it's so stupid, but it's so funny.
That would have took off
That
for
is TikTok.
sure.
Though. TikTok, not all of it, but a lot of the stuff that you laugh at is so stupid.
It's so
but
stupid.
It's so
100%.
funny.
Yeah. So I think I might have a TikTok called like PR Family Feud or something stupid like
Yep.
that. But I don't do anything on it. So it's like I think just Instagram.
We gotta get that going. That would be amazing.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter. Do I have something else?
Do you do YouTube at all? Upload
I don't.
shorts or anything?
I don't. I got.
YouTube shorts,
I gotta
something
step. I gotta step up my social game. I really do. I see everyone else doing it, and I get entertained by other people's stuff, and I'm like, I really should do that, but then I don't.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Honestly, I need like a dude or someone who's gonna be like, all right, let's do this, let's do that.
Right.
'Cause for me,
Start breaking
it's
down each piece.
yeah, because I have ideas for days, but then like the execution of it.
Yeah.
Is,
That's just like anything in life. That's the hardest part. You know,
Right.
taking the leap on there. And now TikTok's evolved to where it's not like for like 16-year-old girls dancing. Now it's like major way to push whatever business you're in, you know? Whether it's we talked like tech companies that are now getting on TikTok to
Really?
sell their product, you know?
It's smart. It's I call it getting into the tent, getting people in the tent. Like if you have a tent where you want to sell them a bunch of shit, it's like your TikTok is a way of saying, step right up, come in here,
like
come in
that.
here.
Yeah.
You know,
Getting into the tent. That's good.
yeah, you get people into like the circus tent.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I love it. Closing thoughts. Just anything in general.
No, I mean, this is great. I've loved it. I like how you literally had Jocko in front of us. So this is great. We'll go home and talk about it left and right.
I got tickets. Jocko's coming to Boston.
I got tickets for that too.
I got tickets.
Oh,
I am the best man at a buddy's wedding. His rehearsal dinner's that night.
Are you kidding me?
I was like, Freddie, what time is dinner? I was like, I might be late.
I know.
I have my family, my mother's side of the family does a family reunion every year.
Yep.
And this year, and we always try and do it like somewhere cool. This year, they were like, let's do it, because a lot of them live in New York.
Yep.
Let's do it in New York. And we're like, really? A week in New York? I mean, we go to New York. We could go to New York on right now.
Yeah,
you
right,
know?
right.
But so they're doing it that week, and that's the Friday that Jocko's going to be there. So I told my wife, I was like,
hell yeah.
I'm like, we're out on Friday morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're leaving New York early.
I love that.
Oh my God, I love it. We cannot thank you enough for stopping by the show. This has been a blast chatting up with you. Ramiro, hot 96.9. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys.